Alright, so we are back with Matt at the Raritan Valley Hi-Railers behind the scenes of his next build, the coal flow loader scene that he's working on. And when I was a guest at the last show with the Raritan Valley Hi-Railers was Greenberg Edison. I was running trains with him. And the number one request that the public had when Matt was telling people that he was doing this next build, that they wanted Dakman Productions to do a behind the scenes video of this new build. This build here goes with the last build that he did, which was the coal dump scene. So now there's going to be a coal flow loader scene to go with the coal dump scene. So for those of you who have not seen the behind the scenes of the coal rotary coal dump scene, you can go back on my channel and see that. And this is going to go with that. So the intent and purpose is to go is a complete a cycle. So the coal flow loader will load the coal hoppers up with coal, and then it will go and to the power plant, dump it off at the rotary coal dumper, and just keep completing a cycle like in real life. So, right, Matt?
Until everything runs out, then I gotta reload everything.
So, let's, wow, I don't even know where to start. But this is impressive of what he's got done so far. He just started this after that Greenberg show in November 2022, so you can see how much he's got done already. I'm wondering, do you ever sleep?
At the November show, if anybody saw you, I had the modules built, the frames. You know, if you remember, I had the blank modules because that's how I did the lineup of all the tracks at the show. Because unfortunately, I mean, you can see the shop's not that big. I mean, we're packed in here with just this, this layout here. But there's not only the flow loader. This is an engine facility back here. It's going to be the Raritan Valley Coal Company's engine facility. So you got your engine house, you got a transfer bridge, you got a wheel inspection pit over here, you got a sanding tower, and then all your fuel pad back here. So
all right, so let's start with the beginning of this module. So the beginning of this module looks to be like you're building a fueling station.
So this is your fueling station, your fuel pad, where they would load the, you're going to assume that the tanks are underground. They'll be piping up over along this bridge. Then you have your two, tanks that are, the tanks that actually feed the fuel line. So this will be fuel booms here. This is a sanding tower back here. The beauty of all these is everything on this one is everything's going to be automated. So you can see inside all of these are called actuators. So those actuators will actually move the fuel booms back and forth. There's an actuator inside the sanding tower that moves the sand boom back and forth. This is an inspection pit, so this has an overhead crane. I'm not going to take this off, but there's another actuator in here that moves that crane back and forth. There's going to be like a little welding light scene in there, so you can flip on a switch. It looks like they're welding something. I did in the inspection pit in some of these areas. I did 2-rail, so anybody knows who follows us that I do a mix of 3-rail, 2-rail. The 3-rail is obviously so anybody in the club can come and run back in these areas, but the 2-rail is we've got several guys now that run dead rail. So the beauty with the dead rail is you can really just run that anywhere. Because to do an inspection pit like this, I had to do 2-rail. It just looks so much better than having that 3rd rail run down the middle.
Oh, I agree.
So unfortunately, but most of the guys who run the 3-rail in the club, they really just like to run trains. They're not really into doing a little switching and come back to these areas. So they don't really get that upset about it. They can come into the engine house. They can use the transfer bridge. I kept that all 3-rail. This is simulating like an old sanding tower, so that'll be like the sand pit and then the dry house. But now they just modified this covered hopper and made a more modern sanding tower, which is prototypical. I actually pulled a picture of a railroad that used a covered hopper to make their sanding tower. Again, the sanding tower is it's just a MTH 2-rail covered hopper that I bought off eBay. Took it apart and and modified it. For anybody out there that likes to modify cars, it's a lot less expensive to buy 2-rail cars than it is to buy 3-rail cars.
Yes.
So that thing, I think I paid $19 for it on eBay.
Wow.
All my tanks that I make, I save. Everybody again knows that I save everything. So that's a 1-a-day vitamin pill bottle.
Really?
And those two bottles there are shampoo and conditioner bottles. So I take them, cut them apart, cut the tops off, do whatever I have to do, and then add all the styrene to them to make the tanks. You can also use PVC pipe, but just certain pill bottles, they just have kind of cool shapes to them.
Yes.
Which is, you would really be hard pressed to try to mimic. And then these, I like making little sheds and stuff. So anytime I'm at shows, I buy containers, the like for the double stack containers.
Oh yeah.
I just buy like loose random ones because you can get them for a couple bucks, and then I just keep a supply of them here, and then I just cut them up to whatever size I need, add whatever I need to. So this is just a little pump house that'll be for for any equipment or anything for the the underground fuel tanks. And the fuel pad.
And what about this light posting?
So the light tower, this is just Plastruck I-beam. They actually sell the flanges for the top and bottom pieces. These are, in the past you've seen the Harbor models.
Yes.
They just recently started making that same light fixture that I use all the time in a larger scale.
Oh.
Which when I saw that I was like, that's awesome. So I bought some of those because obviously that would be a bigger light on the light tower. Again, the transformers are, so they're multi-scale as the company, but actually now Shapeways produces them for them. So the only difference is now is when you get them from Shapeways, because I just ordered a bunch.
Okay.
They're not gray anymore now; they're just clear. But that doesn't matter. They still paint up. They're still hollow on the bottom. They're still the same, But I just ordered a bunch of stuff from Shapeways. Okay. A lot of companies do that. They do 3D printing. Is they actually put their stuff, sub it out to Shape, because Shapeways is, as I've explained before, it's a huge company. They do, multiple 3D. If you're ever looking for anything, just go on their website, Shapeways, plug in something that you want. You have to put, so if I'm looking for something, I'll put, 1/50th scale, blah, 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 or 1/48th scale, blah, blah, blah. And there's just hundreds of things that they have on there.
What are you using to mimic your
my cork?
Cork?
My cork trick that I've been doing for years.
Okay.
It's just, again, I buy it, online. Hobby Lobby is where I get it from. Just get it, buy it in bulk.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just a one by one sheet of cork. It's just easy to work with. I'm putting, expansion lines in it anyway, so every place that the 1 foot mark is doesn't really matter.
Right. Yeah, because I know there's going to be viewers watching who haven't seen past previous videos, and hopefully you go back and watch the past videos that I've done of your, behind the scenes, because you put out a lot of information of what you use and where you get it from and stuff like that. So if you guys are looking to build stuff like Matt here, go back and watch my previous behind the scenes with him, and he gives a lot of information on where he gets a lot of his things from that he uses to build. And so we're moving on here, and it looks like you got an engine house going.
So this is going to be a 4-stall engine house. Again, this is a 6-inch actuator. So actuators, if you go online, they're sold in inch of the run that they do. So this is a 6-inch. Like on the sanding tower and the fuel tower, I used a 2-inch. Certain areas I use a 4-inch, just depending how far I want it to go. So this is another overhead crane that'll go back and forth. You'll see, and the thing that's cool is you'll just kind of see it through the windows. So it's just one of those things that you'll be, you move it and and it'll be like, oh, check that out. The crane inside's moving back and forth, because it'll have lights and stuff on it that go back and forth. But I'm also going to use these 6-inch actuators. Every single door will have them also. So every door will go up and down.
Okay.
So these are rated for maximum. So it's all DC. They're rated max 12 volt DC. That's what they all come. That was a little too fast for me. So if you want to slow the speed of them down, you just cut the voltage to them. That's one beauty with DC, is that you don't hurt the motors when you cut voltage to them. Basically, if you choke the electricity too much to them, they just stall. They won't go up and down. So it's a nice speed. Like the doors look like they go up at like a normal overhead door. So you know, the nice thing is it just gives more stuff, more automation to do. So you know, somebody will pull an engine onto the transfer bridge, come to the stall they want, push another button, that door will go up, pull your engine in, push the button, door will go back down. Again, it's not like something that I came up with. I mean, there's other people that have, you know, the New Jersey Hi-Railers. Their transfer bridge, they can operate all their doors. The difference with us is I'm doing it on a module for a traveling layout. So that's I'm always trying to find ways to make our traveling layout look like a home layout.
Oh, okay. And what is this piece right here?
So this is just another overhead crane. This again will have, you know, has an actuator in it. So this will be, but this, you know, every overhead crane I did looks a little different. So this actually has a top-mounted truck that runs on top.
Okay.
So I'll have some tiny little rails up here that makes it look like it's just running along the top.
That's gonna be cool.
So that you'll be able to see the spool and everything on here. And this will have, so this will have like it's a heavy tonnage to pick up. Like say they had to change trucks or something on, so they needed to pick up a whole locomotive. So this will have a heavy tonnage. So that's why I got these for Shapeways too. This will have a big hook. I mean, look at the detail on these things.
Oh yeah, that looks great.
And they're not crazy expensive. I built the hooks on some of the other ones, but I can't get that kind of detail that they can get with this. But that'll have just a hook. And then I set them all so that, like when it's open, it's out of the way of the engine. But if you have an engine here, you actually be able to pull it over and make it look like that it's, you know, it's doing work over top of the engine.
So yeah, with the I don't see a lot of automation with the O gauge clubs that shows. So this is going to put a lot of.
There's going to be a lot of, you know, I mean, there's going to be multiple doors that open. I'm going to have operating gates. I have 3-volt low RPM DC motors that'll be mounted up underneath, so you'll be able to push a button to open up a chain link gate fence that'll open. I mean, it'll open up slow, like somebody's you know doing it by hand. It's just to add you know more things to do at a show.
All right, and who is this transfer bridge made by?
So this is made by Ross. So same company that makes the switches that we use, Ross Custom Switches.
Okay.
The only reason, and it's not you know that I. Because obviously I use the Millhouse River for the rotary dump, and Millhouse River does make a transfer bridge. Problem is Millhouse doesn't make one this small. So I needed, this is an 18-inch. So you know I can't, you know, you're not fitting a big boy on here, but again you're not getting a big boy. This is all for small diesel, you know.
Right.
You know, so that's I wanted a small transfer bridge. We actually have another module that has a Ross old one. I mean it's got to be 10 years old now. It's with a member that's you know just hasn't been around lately, so that probably hasn't been in a show in 6 or 7 years. But I always liked the Ross transfer bridge. You know, it works well, travels well. So here, let me fire this up.
All right, sounds good.
So this is a dead rail piece.
And what are you using for dead rail?
So this is CVP company. So basically what dead rail is it's the same thing the HO guys. It's DCC. The only difference is I'm not pulling track power where you know we have an internal battery that gives the power. But this is basically like what the HO guys use. And then it's got a tsunami sound system, so which is you know it's got a really nice sounding horn.
Oh yeah, that does sound good.
So. Like if I was coming in and wanted to go back to the fueling area,
right?
I would have to be at that spot. So you know the nice thing is that like at a show, if guys want to just play around with stuff, so there's going to be a little control panel on here that comes on and off. So this will have all the buttons to operate everything.
Okay.
So that's your sand fill on an engine. That's where they fill the sand from.
Okay.
So you'd have to line it up, pull this over, get it here, and then if you hit the button, that arm actually comes over to that spot.
Oh wow, that's cool.
You move the arm over to put your sand in. And then when you're done putting your sand in, when you're ready to go, move the arm out of the way.
All right.
And then pull your engine ahead. And you, same token, you can move the other boom to move the fuel arm. Or you can pull all the way down on top of the inspection pit if you want it. You know, you want to do, you'll see there'll be like a little welding light in there.
Nice. Oh, morning, Cliff.
Bridge. And say you want to go out into the rest of the layout. So that's the control panel down there. So it's a pretty simple operation. So right now we're on track 1. It tells you the digital readout you're on 1. Yep. So if you want to go all the way that's 5. So you'd hit 5 and then the arrow like it's going that direction. That's it.
Nice.
It goes automatically, or you could stop at any one of the things to put in a different bay. But you know, now this engine's going to go out and do some work, so it's going to head out into the layout. Again, all the switches in here, I keep them all manual, just because it adds to a little more of the personal operation.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I like manual switches myself.
Well, it keeps it less complicated for members, that they don't have to keep asking like, well, how do you move this switch? How does this, you know? And then you just take off out into the.
I'd rather be hands-on with the switches, and most of your switches on the railroads are manual anyway.
And then you head out to the layout, or you know, so in this case, let's back up. See, I was coming in, and I wanted to put it in the bay. Or I wanted to pull it underneath this big overhead crane because you know we got to do some work to it. You know, there's all different kinds of. Obviously, again, like I said, I'd have to open up the door to open it. Now there'll be 2 separate switches because you have a door there, and then you'd have to hit another button to open up the back door. Now you're up underneath that big overhead crane. Yeah, that's
What did you do to this poor Conrail caboose over here? So sad.
So that's actually from a past module, but it was, you know, just going to be a little yard office, so it's a little, you know, a little rusted up. It's seen some time. Yeah, I forgot. You're a big Conrail fan.
Yeah, it's sad to see it out of it, but it's better than being scrapped. I'll give you that much. But the thing we really wanted to focus on today is your coal flow loader.
So that's, you know, there's the flow loader. So it's got a, you know, there's a sizable hopper in there, and basically I used a, I'm sure you use them all the time in your business. So it's a big funnel that's, you know, like a graduated funnel that comes down, but it's, you know, it's for, you know, like flowing a lot of fluid.
Yes.
So that's what starts out as the hopper in there, and that comes to about here, and then I added sides. So the hopper is probably from about here to here.
Okay.
This whole top piece comes off. So that's how you load it, you know, to put the coal in. That also comes off during transport, so that, you know, it's not as tall. But, you know, on the top's all of its, you know, equipment that moves the coal up to the top to load the hopper. Obviously, that's not operational. You know,
right.
I have to load it with a scoop. But, you know, it'll have all of its conveyors and everything on here. You know, this is like the old kind of tipple here that'll still have like the old drop chutes and stuff, but I'll rust them up, like they don't use them anymore, but they just use the structure for the mechanics to get the coal into the new loader.
Oh, okay. Wow.
The people have seen here, I'll get the chute that goes on the bottom. I haven't installed it yet.
Man, this thing's impressive.
But you've shown this in a past video. This is the chute that'll go on the bottom here. That again has actuators on it. So the car will pull them underneath. So the gate will be operational. You'll push a button, open up the chain link gate, pull the train through, load the hopper. You'll hit a button that will bring that chute down. There's a manual handle over there that actually starts to flow the coal. There's a little camera there with a monitor. You can either watch on there, or I'm gonna probably kind of almost stand like where you're standing and just kind of keep my hand on the lever for operating the coal.
Oops, did I just unplug something?
Yeah, it's I will, probably keep my because this will be done with dead rail. That's where the dead rail really comes in nice, is because anybody who uses the DCS or uses the TMCC, that it works well, but it has its issues. You lose signal occasionally.
Yep.
You can't with this. You have to be able to control and that's the one nice thing with the dead rail, is that you have absolute control over those things to a mile an hour. You can just crawl it through there. So I'll keep that moving through. Load a car, if I get good with it, I probably could not stop the train like it does in prototypical real life. The trains never stop. They just roll through it like 2 miles an hour, and then they just keep loading the cars.
Now that you're mentioning your chute, when you did your rotary coal dump, I found out that Al from Millhouse River actually watches my videos and was watching that particular video and I ran into him at the York show.
At York show, and then he contacted me after the York show, and we spoke for a while. He picked my brain, and listen, it was flattering because he's like, you mind if I steal your idea with the actuators? He goes, that's actually a good idea. I said, I'm not patenting this, and I'm not building this for production. Like this is a one and done.
Right.
I made this, and then I'm not making these for mass production. So I was like, have at it,
I just found that it was cool that a manufacturer is actually watching the videos.
Well, I gotta tell you, he's a nice guy. I mean, when I bought that rotary coal, obviously during shipping, a wire or something came loose.
Right.
And when I installed it, got it done, I couldn't get it to work. For the life of me, could not get it to work. And it comes with instructions. They're pretty good. The instructions are pretty, but I couldn't figure it out. So I called him, set my phone on the layout while I was wearing, put it on speaker. I mean, I was on the phone with him for probably an hour, and he walked me through it. So basically, he's like, all right, take the cover off. He knows that his equipment in and out. So he's like, all right, starting from left to right, it should be blue wire, white stripe, should be, green wire. We kept going through, and finally we came to a wire, and I'm like, that's not connected to that port. He goes, that's the issue. He goes, obviously it must come loose during track. So he goes, put that wire in that port, tighten down the set screw, and thing works great. So he stands behind his products. He builds bulletproof products. You'll never have an issue with that on a home layout. Because I have to remove the drum and put the drum in every show. If you don't get that drum set just right, it will have, so it's not probably the best thing for a module travel, but it works. I mean, everybody can see in the videos it works.
Oh yeah.
I just have to keep tweaking it, like I'll run it and it won't set right, so you got to move it one notch in the thing. It takes maybe 10 minutes and you get it set, after every show. But if you have a home layout, you put the thing on there, you'll never have to touch the thing again.
Right. But getting back to this coal flow loader, I'm looking at the level of details on this roof, and again, that's probably another bottle.
It is another pill bottle. I said, and no, I don't take that many vitamins. I just, I collect them. So, if I get, so I've probably got about 10 of them from over the years.
The red piece here.
So the red piece is another bottle.
Really?
But then the little motor is actually a motor from an overhead crane that MTH made, and then the flywheels are Tichy.
Wow.
So I just kind of put them all together. So I will have eventually a little fan belt on there. None of that is set up there. None of it's glued down.
Okay. And what are you using for this?
So that is just spindle. So those from a vinyl fence.
Really?
Yeah. Anytime we do a job. So again, everybody know I'm a builder. So I mean, anytime we do a fence not a fence, like railings, like vinyl railings on a deck, there's always a couple spindles left over. I keep them. I just keep them because it's a nice square stock tubing.
Yes.
And then, I just added the cross bracing, added the bolt detail. I'm not a big fan of how my walkways came out. I wish I had used the styrene. I used my chicken wire thing, but I got to try to keep tweaking it because it's a little bent. You can see it's a little off skew.
Yeah.
But all the rest of these are all styrene.
And the bolt details you're getting from Tichy
That's
too,
all
right?
Tichy. It's all Tichy bolt detail.
If I remember from the last
Yeah.
video. But I'm trying to mention names again for the new viewers who have not seen the past videos from here. And I'm looking over here, and these details. I mean, like this right here.
So that generator, that's an MTH piece. They made those for like a car load.
Oh.
The fuel tank is bar mills, and then that's another multi-scale that's now Shapeways produces that out.
Okay.
Transformer. So that's going to be like a little transformer for for the little power area here.
And we can see you explain multiple times on videos how you build your fence, but you can actually see the start of that.
So this is the start of it. Yeah. So this this is a heavy gauge fence. Like for like a dog pen or something.
Right.
It's a 2-inch by 4-inch, which scales out a little bigger than O scale but because that actually scales out to an 8-foot fence. Which, I mean, there are, but usually you only see 8-foot fences like at military installations and stuff. I mean, they wouldn't need it, but that's besides the point. It saves a lot of time for having to make, your fencing. When I make the gates, those all actually scratch build out of brass tubing and brass wire. I'll solder that to make that fence. And then, the mesh that I use is, the company is, I never pronounce it right. Amico, MAACO, but they're the same company that makes Sculptamold.
Okay.
They make it's actually a mesh that's used for sculpting. So it's a diamond shape, which is nice for the fencing, and very pliable. So that's how I make my fence.
Now I'm looking at this truck here. Who makes this truck?
That is. I forget. I bought it on eBay. White House. I think it's White something made that truck.
Okay.
That's actually. So the problem with a lot of the vehicles you get is they're 1/43rd scale, so they're a little over. That's actually is a 150 scale, and that's a 150 scale. They're both the same company.
Okay.
That's 150 scale. This truck the cab is a 1/43rd scale. So this is another one of those new Ray pieces. This was a box truck. I hacked it down, cut it up. I scratch built the boom, scratch built the boxes and everything. I made the Tommy gate for the back.
Oh, cool. So did you add the details of the hoses and chain on the back of this?
Yes. Yeah. So it had those hoses hanging down.
Right.
But I wanted to actually also add some hoses like going to the crap, I can't remember what these are called.
That's the low boy.
Low boy. Yes. So the low boy's trailer.
Yeah.
And then I added the chains on the back.
Can I point something out if you don't mind?
I know because you know all about these.
Yeah. So trucks are right up my alley. As everybody knows, I'm a diesel mechanic by trade. But you forgot just one thing on the back of that truck, if you don't mind me saying it. So.
Go ahead. I'll add it in.
All right. So there is supposed to be a green wire that goes off the back of the cab to the trailer, which would power the lights for the trailer.
Okay.
So you have the red airline, which is your emergency side.
Mm-hmm.
You got the blue for the service side or the regular brakes. But there's also, for the new, any truck that is like 1990s and up would have a green instead of black.
So green. All right,
it would be a green wire that comes off and goes to the trailer for the
Would
lights.
it still be spooled?
Yes.
Like
Okay. It depends, because some trucks do have spooled and some have straight. So either or would actually be prototypical
so
for
I got
a
to add
truck.
a green wire.
Yes.
You'll see it next time you come shoot it. It's a green wire we all do.
It's just some detail that only probably a truck guy like me would know.
And then all of these have 4-way flashers. So I added the 4-way flasher to these, like this truck's just sitting here with its flashers on.
Okay.
This has a little emergency light on top. So the scene here is just, because again, it's just a little mini scene. It's just to add a little more detail.
Right.
It's going to be that they just added a hydrant system in here. So I actually have the hydrants painted over there. And then I'm going to do like where they just do a trench. So it'll look like brand new blacktop going in there. And then over here will be the little pump box that's in the ground. So that'll still be dug out and open. Like they're just finishing up that little detail. So you'll see some piping, in there. This will have some dirt in it, like they're just getting the residual dirt pile. This will have headlights, taillights, and flashers. This I added all, so every one of these little things, I've got lights on the boom. You know, I added all the lighting to that. This has flashers and then has work lights that are on. You know, I added all that detail, just, you know, because everybody who, again, watches knows I like adding lights to everything.
Yeah. I have a curiosity question. I'm looking at these doors on these 3 levels here. What would they get into the? What would
I'm guessing just to let in maybe light or let in. If you look on the, I can show you the picture of the prototype that I actually took this from. It had it on them.
Oh yeah.
So I just copied it.
And I remember you mentioned the prototype is in Virginia. You
I think it's in Virginia or West Virginia.
Yeah.
You know, which is right in the heart of coal country.
Yeah, yeah. I was just kind of curious. And
I love coal. I mean, everybody knows coal's dead.
yeah.
but I'm a big coal fan. I like the
coal at one time ran the whole entire country.
Coal was king coal.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is more of prototype. So when the train comes out of here,
Okay.
I added. So this is called a leveler. So, and again, there's another actuator on there. Now, this particular one, I didn't want to see the actuator at all, so I have it on a string with a pulley, so it's but that's why I added this on magnets, so that if something comes off that pulley, like in transport, I can pop that off and get to it. But then what that'll do is that'll pull, you hit another button when it comes out, and that leveler will come down and sit on top of the car, like to level it. And this is a rubber piece on the bottom, so it doesn't get caught up, moves. Then when it comes through to here, underneath here, they put a silicone spray on top of these cars to keep the dust down on the coal. So to simulate that, I scratch built this. So that's a hollow tube in there. It's actually PEX is what I started off with. Goes down through the thing that'll have a hose connected to it. There's another one in here of those industrial smoke units that I get from Harbor models that I used on the power plant. That, I mean, those things pump some smoke. Each one of these little jets you see underneath here will have smoke comes out of them to simulate. That's how I'm going to simulate the silicone spray.
Oh wow!
And then there'll be another automated gate down here that that you'll have to open, and then this will go back through, out, and then onto the main line. That's a wheel inspection pit, so that'll be enough. So this is like just a little yard. All my little scratch built pieces of like my maintenance away stuff that I like to make, I'm gonna just have some of them sitting here, and just to add some detail. You can move them around if you want, but this has an overhead crane here that moves back and forth, again with another actuator in there.
Nice.
And then another overhead crane underneath there. That wire is actually sitting out, so here I can make that crane move, and you'll see what that looks like. Just grab this. And again, the transformer I'm using, it's a 6-volt DC transformer.
And you call this a wheel maintenance facility?
So this is a wheel inspection. So this would be, so if you see how, so like that inspection, the track runs down the center of the inspection so they can get up underneath the engine to see. It runs along the side. So basically it keeps the wheels so they can inspect the wheels, check traction motors. So it's just a different operation that comes in here.
Oh, okay.
You can see that crane, and I'll move it back once.
Yep.
And then basically all the switch that I use says centers off. This is what they call just a polarity changing switch. So basically all it does is just changes the polarity. So that would be this, and then you just hit it back the other way, and it moves back the other way.
Nice. And so what would this crane out here be used for?
Again, just, if they need like a heavy duty overhead crane to move something, again, they could lift, because anybody knows that, the cars, the cars, it's just gravity that holds the cars on top of the trucks.
Yes.
So if they needed to change out a truck or something, they could just pull that over, pick up the end of a car, pull out a truck, change the truck out, drop the car back down on top of it. Just to do maintenance and work on them.
Wow. And whose signals are you using here?
That's Lionel.
Oh, okay.
And I like them. I mean, they're a really nice scale, nice. So I don't know. I think they're discontinued. I don't know. So I actually found 2 of them at a show, relatively priced, and I needed 2 more. So I did an eBay check, hunt, because I had the model number, and I found them. Paid a little more on eBay than I did at the show, but yeah, no, they're I like, because the MTH ones are nice, but they're a little overscaled. They're a little oversized. Like those are MTH signals, crossing signals. I mean, they're big. I mean, that's not.
Yeah.
If you've ever gone up next to a crossing, like you could touch the bulbs. I mean, those things are 10 feet in the air. So, but it's
And these are what you're using for your.
So that is a scribed board and batten, but 1/2-inch spacing. So I'm using that to simulate like like metal, standing seam metal.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that for Micromark. All the balsa I usually I either get from Micromark, or I just got this in. This is Northeastern scale lumber. So this I got some channel and some H.
Oh.
For seam and stuff. Yeah, they have some nice stuff.
That's the first time you've mentioned them on video, I think. That
I get a lot of stuff. Well, Northeastern scale lumber makes a lot. So like a lot of the stuff that Micromark carries, they get manufactured from Northeast scale lumber.
Oh, okay.
But there's no big price difference. Obviously Northeast scale lumber sells at a Micromark at a discounted price, so that so it's not like it's all kind of the same price. But Micromark doesn't carry everything that Northeast scale lumber makes, so sometimes I just go on their website and buy direct from them.
We'd like to come back around here and just sort of do a little review of what we've been talking about. Man, that is nice. So how are you building your crane? This is all scratch built?
It's all scratch built.
So it's just channel and
you got I-beam,
styrene.
I-beam. You got just some flat stock, some square stock, railing pieces. So this is a crane that, this is a big overhead crane. So this is one that somebody have to climb up a ladder, get into the little control room, and they actually ride the crane. So that's all fully lit. That'll all have lighting. All these, so when it's on, you'll see all that. That'll be what'll draw your attention to it, because there's actually going to be a light inside the cab, that it's lit up. I'll have a little guy in there. Actually, I do. I have a little guy in there already now. I'll have a little guy in there.
And I'm seeing, even though this is cut away pretty heavy, it still looks like it's pretty sturdy.
So again, I changed with this particular one because I want a lot of open space. So this, I'm not using foam core. This is actually called gator board.
Oh.
So
I was about to say, it's pretty impressive that it, as much as it's cut out.
So that's foam core. Feel kind of how soft it is. And
oh, yeah.
That's gator board. So it actually has a very thin wood veneer on the edge. It's very true. It's actually used for shipping and stuff. So this I actually buy from Uline, which is the company that basically, if you've ever gotten anything in a box, if you look at the box, most boxes they come from Uline. I mean, they're a nationwide company.
Oh yeah,
so they have a distribution center. I think it's in Carteret or something. So literally, if I put an order in Tuesday morning, it's sitting on my porch Wednesday morning. The stuff comes. The only thing is you can't buy like 1 or 2 pieces. You have to. So I had to buy 10 pieces minimum. So it was like $100-something to buy 10 pieces. But I mean, now I've got more gator board than I'll probably ever use.
And who knows? Maybe you'll have people wanting to buy it from you when they see the video.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, it's so you could buy, like, hobby places sell gator board, but they only sell small pieces. So from Uline, because I wanted big pieces. So I mean, they sell it to 8-foot sheets. So I bought the 36 by 48.
Oh
sheets.
wow!
Yeah, so they're nice. So that's because I didn't want a lot of seams. I wanted all, So especially when I was making this, even though you see a ton of, and the other beauty of doing how I do these builds, you could see how many modifications I had to make, because I would do something, I'd be like, that's not gonna work.
Okay.
And I still have, like, every one of these windows has to get closed down. It's a little bit smaller. So I have 2 different size windows in there. I have this one, which is, again, my chicken wire windows. That'll be the big windows downstairs. And then I have the smaller ones like I have up here. After I added the crane, I realized that all those windows were too
high.
Too high.
Yeah.
So
I see what you're saying now.
yeah, because the crane isn't fastened in yet. I made that crane can still remove out of here.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Once I'm done with everything, then I'll set it permanently, and then this sets the height of the roof, the flat roof.
And this is the first time you're using Gatorboard?
I've used small pieces of it before, but it's the first time I've ever used big sheets. I just knew I wanted something a little more stable. I mean, the foam core, just like I've got foam core up there. I get that from Staples, Hobby Lobby. But it's a lot cheaper. Yeah, the Gatorboard is more expensive, but it's a lot truer. It stays truer. It doesn't warp. Doesn't so yeah.
Wow. So I want to come back over here and ask a couple more questions. So these the ladders with the cage around them, or did you get them from somewhere else?
That's Plastruct. So
Plastruct?
when you order them.
As I'm trying to think of questions that the viewers will have.
So if you go on Plastruct, I mean, it's item number 90432. It's O scale 1/48. Comes with a ladder and a cage.
Oh, nice. All right. And then the rest of it you scratch built?
It's all scratch built. It's all, like I said, except for the main pipe coming up. That is, these aren't set yet. That is just PEX tubing.
Oh. Nice.
So these actually have the lights on, or that has the wire up there. But yeah, so it's just PEX tubing, little bolt detail. So there'll be a hose that'll connect to the bottom of that, and then that's hollow, and then that'll feed to those little...
And the little wheel you buy from...
that is...
I just want to show
That's
off.
brass.
Oh, it's brass. Okay. That's cool.
Is from Precision Scale Company.
Oh, Precision Scale Company. Okay.
Yeah.
There you guys go. In case you're wondering. And the light fixture?
The light fixture, again, is Harbor Models.
Harbor Models. And how about this little...
The electrical cabinet?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just scrap pieces. It
Nice.
starts out with a piece of if you take a piece of I-beam, put a piece on the back, top, a little top piece, put your little tubes down, add your little thing here, add a little arm on the side for your,
even
disconnect.
Even the diamond plate catwalk. I mean, even got that detail.
So again, the diamond plate comes in sheets from Plastruct.
I just can't believe the little bit amount of time. I mean, for me to plan just to build this piece would probably take me personally a couple months of trial and error. I mean,
Well, it's, so the PEX tubing, I have tons of PEX tubing because, again, I'm a builder. So anytime my plumber does PEX work, I just, there's always 2 foot, 3 foot cutoffs. That he throws them in a pile, and I just.
I mean, I realize you've been doing this for a long time, but when you originally started doing this, did you
No, it was horrible.
Okay.
It was horrible, and I didn't know. The biggest thing is to gain the knowledge of the products that are available.
Okay.
Because a lot of times when you're planning something out, when you really know the products well, you know what you can use to achieve what you want.
Oh, okay.
So I knew I needed this to be hollow because it needed for the smoke to get up in there to get these little jets out here. So I'm like, all right, well that's going to be PEX. And I just 45'd the piece. Used an industrial glue to hold the miter together. So now that's completely hollow in there, and then the rest was just built around it.
Wow.
And then it comes like this, so that's just railing. That's just O-scale railing from when you go in Plastruct. My suggestion with Plastruct, if anybody wants to order from them, their website's a little complicated. Call them, request a catalog. Like I have a catalog, and you don't need the most. My catalog is like 10 years old. But then what I do is I go through the catalog to see what I need so that I get the part numbers. And then when I go on the website to order, it's much easier to plug in, because if you notice with them, they have a catalog number, CL8, but then the item number is 90432. Sometimes the catalog number doesn't work on the website. You really need the item number, and it's hard to find it on the website. But if you have it in the catalog, like literally once you write down everything you want, all your numbers, the website, then the ordering is very easy.
Okay.
And then they're pretty cool because, you know, there's sometimes they don't have, so you can just lay down.
Okay.
They don't have stuff in stock. So you'll put in an order, and then they contact you like within a day, and they'll in an email and be like, you know, this CL, because everything they make it either ABS or styrene. So they'll get back to you and they'll be like, I don't have this in styrene, but I have it in ABS. You want me to make a switch? I don't have any of this, but would you like to substitute this? You know, this will be, and they'll go through, and then, or they'll just be like, or we'll just credit you, you know, for what you don't buy.
Okay. I'm pretty impressed with this work truck you got here, because that's actually cranes that I see on maintenance truck. Where'd you get that crane from?
Made that.
You made it.
So again, you remember I keep everything that I ever do. So when I did my power plant project,
right?
Remember I had a lot of bucket trucks, but I converted them. So when I ripped the buckets off, I kept the buckets. So that crane is just part of, you know, see the base?
Oh yeah, I see it now.
This is part of that. I just hacked something apart and.
That's pretty impressive.
There'll be the hydrants. So these I got from Micromark. So again, they're 3D printed. You know, and I painted them up while they're still on the sprues. Then I'll cut them loose off the sprues when I'm ready to put them in. But you know, that's how they sell them.
Very nice. How do you get so you painted these, obviously?
Yeah, just little brushes. They're not perfect. I mean, you can see I made little mistakes, but it's so far away you don't see it. You don't notice.
Yeah,
it. And then I'll give all these a black wash of any ink.
Yeah.
So once you do that too, that really hides a lot of sins.
Yeah, I'm not a good painter. I'm the type of person that would get more paint on me, and then I would have the silver all over the place.
I'm not the best painter in the world. I mean, over the years, I gotten older. I get a little shakier.
Yeah.
But it's not. You know, you just have to have the right brushes.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I just like what you did here.
So that the coal tower, that was, so every year I shut my business down between the week between Christmas and New Year's.
Okay.
So that was my week. That was a solid week I was in the shop. So that was my week project. I built that.
So I'm sure the viewers are going to ask, because they're going to look forward to seeing all this running in person. But what is your
my
goal?
My goal would be the August show.
The August show.
But the August show, a lot of times they keep us down in size. So more than likely, this will probably be the November show next year. Just because they always usually allow us to be the full-size layout. And that's a nice big show anyway, because that always has a lot of people. So it's always nice to debut something. Because that's when I debuted the rotary coal.
Yes,
that was
correct.
The November show.
Yeah, and people were following along with that project on my YouTube channel.
And again, and anybody who does Instagram out there, if you go on the Raritan Valley Hi-Railers Instagram page, you know, I post pictures all the time of progress on the builds. Obviously, it's, you know, I do post videos on there, but you're limited for the length of videos you can post. So they're just short little videos showing stuff. You know, nothing, you know, like you could put on YouTube. I don't have the patience for YouTube. People have asked me, you know, why do you do YouTube channel? And you know, you do. It's like another full-time hobby.
Oh, it is.
You know?
That so it is, yes.
If I was posting YouTube videos all the time, I wouldn't have time to actually do this work. So for me, Instagram is perfect. You know, because I can take pictures, boom, boom, post them in a matter of seconds, and go about my work.
Yeah. I know you have a big following on Instagram for that.
I'm close to 10,000 followers.
Yeah,
on Instagram. It's amazing how many trained nuts there are.
Yeah, and rightfully so, because your builds are really, really good and interesting.
I like the Instagram is so, because you really get to, and it's not all trained people on there, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I have I actually follow and am followed by photographers.
Oh, wow.
Just like, you know, they like the picture and the detail. Who else follows? Oh, there's believe it or not, there's several women who follow this that are crafts people. You know, they do crafts.
Okay,
So
that makes sense.
So they'll see something that I've done and they'll be like, "Hey, this could work in my thing. Like, how did you accomplish that?" You know, because you can ask. You know, the nice thing is you can ask questions and stuff very easily on Instagram. So it's nice. You get a mix, and I just think it's cool because. So I check my Instagram. You know, I have my morning routine. I get up 4:30. I go walk on the boardwalk. I sit, you know, feed the dog, sit down, and it's probably around 5:30 when I'm having my breakfast, my morning coffee, and that's when I sit on my Instagram and go through and look. I'm the co-coordinator of that club, so it's my job to make sure that there's always trains running. I mean, we get paid to be there by agreement. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but we get paid to be there. Greenberg expects trains to be running. So, you know, and sometimes guys just don't feel, they just want to sit there and talk. They want to run trains. I never have to worry about Fred. There's always something on track one. You know, when you come, you know, you like to run. We have a couple members that like running trains.
Oh yeah, I've always enjoyed running trains because for me, it's totally different. I mean, it's like, you know, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's like you're out there in the public, you're running your train, everybody's watching your train, enjoying it, as well as you're enjoying running it, and it's just they're asking you questions. So it's just exciting.
Well, and you guys have knowledge. Like, if somebody asks me, you know, what kind of engine is that? I'm like, you know, a black one. Like, I don't know all the different, you know, and steam I know nothing about. You know, somebody will be like, what kind of steam engine is that? I don't know. I'm like, you know.
Well, since I'm a diesel guy, most of my knowledge is into the diesel.
But Fred's very good too, and Fred has a nephew that actually works for. He's an engineer for Norfolk Southern.
Yeah.
So he
used to be a Conrail guy.
Yeah, well, he started off in Conrail.
Yes.
And then you know, went through. I have friends of the family. He's retired now, but he actually started off Penn Central, Conrail, and then actually moved over to passenger and finished off his career at New Jersey Transit. And his title, his whole was a brakeman. Even though, I mean, brakemen don't really, you know, there's nobody running the car, you know, cranking brakes anymore. But he was, you know, he that was his title. But he worked through, you know, all the transitions. Actually, he may have even started off with the Pennsylvania Railroad, but I think he came on right as the merging and for New York Central. So I think even if he was at Pennsylvania Railroad, it was very minimal. He's got to be in his late 60s now. But yeah, he's got some great stories. You know, Fred's got some terrific stories from his nephew.
Yeah.
Especially some of the latest NS debacles.
Yeah.
And again, you know something? That's not necessarily the guy's fault. You know, that's don't even get me started with that. You know, it's all about making money now. They don't care about safety. They don't care about productivity. They just want it's the bottom dollar. And you know, they're going to ruin these railroads. You think they would have learned from, you know, when all the mergers and everything happened years ago? That's all the deregulation. That's what hurt the railroads. You know, now they're just doing it over again. You know, so.
Well, maybe they'll bring back Conrail after it happens and straighten it all out again.
Well, he's still got Conrail shared assets.
Yeah, but the problem with that is they're still controlled by Norfolk Southern and CSX.
Well, even like so, the Southern, you know, old that runs down now just runs to Lakehurst, I think. You know, the one that used to run all the way down to Bridgeton.
Yes.
The old Trail of Blue Comet. That's not even switched by Conrail shared assets anymore. That's a short line switch. Is that now?
Yes. I think I've read somewhere is that they've been giving up a lot of those type of things to short lines. They'd rather have them just handle it.
How cool would it be if they opened up that line all the way down?
Oh yeah, that would be neat. Well, Matt, you put a lot of work into this, and it's very impressive what you have done so far, and what you have accomplished. It's just totally amazing. I'm sure once people and the viewers see this video, they're going to be looking forward to seeing this in addition to your power plant facility, which basically
competes. And not just those. I mean, Bobby's modules. He's got the industrial area.
Oh yeah,
with the Stapleton's Metal Works and all. I mean, that's very the refinery that's next to his.
That's nice too.
Billy's modules. You know, there isn't really all of the modules. I mean, our layout now is really. I mean, you know, I think is about as up to snuff as a home layout could be. And that was always my goal. I always wanted to make our traveling layout look like a home layout. This is the last here to show you this. I pulled this is what we had to pull out last week out of the trailer. So this is, you know, people have seen this one.
Yes.
So this is. So if you see this, that corner there where it comes in, that's where this locks in and comes into the back layout. So it connects here, and that gets you into that new area. And then, you know, here's the main line out front that continues around. That's, you know, my everybody knows that's my charging station, that little building. There's a shelf on the back where I actually charge my dead rail engines. Yeah, it's got the little engine scene. I scratch built that engine a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember. That's still like an impressive scene. I like it. Especially how you cut the doors so they you can see inside the locomotive and you put details.
So that started off, it was an RS3. That was that a Weaver? Or, but anyway, it was a dummy, you know, so there's nothing in it.
Oh, okay.
So it was a hollow. So first thing I did was hack all the sides out, make doors and everything for it. I scratch built the electrical cabinets, the engine's another 3D printed, motor, 3D motor. And then I built the connection with the generator. Because again, the engine, anybody doesn't know, it's not the engine that actually moves the train.
Correct.
That's just basically it's a generator. It's just and then that power. So the motors are electric.
Depending if it's DC or an AC locomotive. So a DC locomotive would have a generator.
Yes.
And an AC locomotive would have an alternator.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah. But it powers the traction motors, and then that's those electric traction motors that actually move the wheels.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they ask, how it, and they think, that, I don't know, a chain or a belt, and it's not the way it's not, the motor is not directly connected to the wheels.
And what I find funny about what you just said, basically you might as well just say it's the railroad that invented hybrid vehicles.
Yeah, basically. Exactly.
I mean, the auto manufacturers made it sound like it was new technology when the railroad's been using it since the 50s.
Yep.
So where can you get the flowers from?
That's all Scenic Express.
Scenic Express, okay.
So these, that's super trees, but I use small pieces, chunks of it.
Okay.
This is just they're I forget what type of flower that is, but that's that's a Silform sells that. These little trees here I actually make, and those are all, those all start off as the little green Christmas trees.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just, I hack them up to give them some shape and then paint them and then flock them.
Wow.
But I go Home Depot, Lowe's, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, every year at the end of Christmas, and just because then you can buy those things at pennies.
Now, is this static grass mat or actual?
No, this individual? It's static grass mat. It's not actual static grass.
Okay.
Well, it's static grass, but now they put it on a sheet.
Yes.
It makes it a lot. I have static grass applicators, but this is so much faster and so much easier. Again, Scenic Express.
I mean, it looks good. I mean, it seems more simple than the applicator type.
Well, the static grass it certainly looks a lot better, but I find that it doesn't actually hold up well in the heat, humidity, and change in the cold, in the sitting in the trailers, because I have used it on some modules. So this seems to hold up a lot better.
And then you're just home building your telephone poles. I think I remember.
Those are all, those just start out as
a dowel.
1/4-inch oak dowels.
Yep.
I use oak just because I like the graining on them.
It looks just like a real pole.
And then I take a razor saw and I scratch the sides to give it some detail, and then I add the lighting and.
I like how you got the old truck that's just been
just buried. But again, you can see little dings and dents. So while this module's out, I'm gonna touch everything up, because again, they take beatings when they travel.
I see you have the modern, up to date blue on your trucks there.
So those are the I forget what they're called. The type of bearings begins with a B. But yeah, so those cars use that type of bearing.
Right.
These don't actually move. Like some of the cars actually have those bearings move on them.
Yes.
In prototype they move, But I'm saying model-wise, some of the manufacturers have made it that they move.
Yeah, like the Atlas Master Series, all of them
Yeah.
mostly have rotating.
But I just painted up a blue and then painted the little white dots that on there. When I made all those cars, because I made all those cars. When I stenciled and lettered all those cars for the Raritan Valley Coal, I added all that little detail. I only have 14 because those are the cars I use with the rotary dump. So I only have 14 of them. I don't really any more than that. You don't really need any more than that to do that thing.
All right, so Matt presented me with a Christmas present from the Raritan Valley Hi-Railers. I mean, this is so cool. It just blew me away, and I thank the Raritan Valley Hi-Railers for this wonderful gift. The official Raritan Valley Hi-Railers shirt with the name Dakman on there. Oh, I just love it. And yes, you will see me wearing this shirt when I attend the show, and I'm going to run on the Raritan Valley Hi-Railers with my Conrail locomotives. And again, appreciate all the members giving this and making me basically an honorary member, and also appreciated the members inviting me to run on the layout. And thank you very much. And thanks for watching this video behind the scenes of the Raritan Valley Hi-Railers with Matt. Until the next time, we'll be following up in the middle of the summer, so stay tuned. See you guys later. Goodbye.